Rex, I am so excited when you came into the. Okay, Rex has a gratitude room every day on Clubhouse, and I love his room. Seriously, if you guys are free at 11 a.m. Eastern time, um, come into Rex's room. He does it every single day, and he's got so much wisdom and so much. He's just an incredible person. He's an NLP practitioner. He wrote an incredible book called Life on Your Terms. He does so much more than that. He'll tell you what he does. But Rex, I am so grateful you're here. You don't even know. Thank you so much. And I'm going to give you the mic.
I'm so grateful to be here with you. I love being in a room with you, whether it's your room, my room, or any other room, Noah. It's always a pleasure and an honor. And I got to say, it's just one of those, great moments in the universe, because I was busy doing something, and I decided I would pick up my phone, and I was led to just kind of go to Clubhouse. I mean, I wouldn't have normally, but I picked it up to, oh well, I'll check, and then saw, oh my gosh, you've got this room. So of course I dove in. I can't stay very long, but I'm sure happy to be here. Um, what a wonderful topic, and some really great shares. And I will share something which has nothing to do with the share that I'm going to make, but another wonderful treatment for acid reflux is apple cider vinegar, but make sure that it's raw, cold pressed, organic. When I first started doing it, like 20 years ago or whatever it was, I just went and got like apple cider vinegar from the store, and I took it straight, and it's not how you're supposed to do it at all. You take, maybe a teaspoon or tablespoon in an ounce or two of water, or a couple teaspoons a day, and and in a glass of water, and you drink it, and it's powerfully effective. And I won't go into more than that about that, but look it up. It's apple cider vinegar for acid reflux. The what I would share is simply this, and that is, oh geez, in the 70s, I think it was the 60s, Dr. Carl Simonton, and Travis Air Force Base did some studies on attitude, and the in response to treatment of cancer patients, and they determined that at that time, when there were just a handful of studies about placebo and attitude, and beliefs, and how you can, heal and be healthy, determined that attitude was the number one predictor for success in health and healing, especially when it came to your attitude towards the treatment. Because if you believed the treatment was likely to help you, it was likely to help you, and if you believed that it was not likely to help you, it was not likely to help you. At that time, we didn't split the placebo effect into placebo and nocebo. We only it was greatly misunderstood, and still is greatly misunderstood to this day. But the point being is that your attitude determines so much about not only what you can accomplish, but how you feel and how you are in a present moment. The wonderful share about anxiety that was mentioned earlier was is, think about that for a second. Anxiety is really a physiological response to thought, or to some some trigger that may be outside of awareness. And and what happens is the body has it reacts. Chemicals are squirted, and blood pressure is increased, heart rate is increased. I mean, all these things change in response to whatever the trigger might be. It's a real phenomenon. The anxiety is not, but the phenomenon of it is. So what that should tell you is that if you have stress in your life, whether that's mental or emotional or physical or financial stress, it's having an impact on your health and well-being. You're squirting particular chemicals that are causing more harm than good. For example, when you and I were children, and we thought, maybe there's a monster in the closet or under the bed, we responded, our bodies literally responded with fear, as if there were a real monster there. We might sweat, we might shake, we might have any number of different kinds of reactions physiologically, and someone could come in and they could turn on the light and go, look in the closet, look under the bed, there's no monster. And you go, right, and then they turn off the lights, you go out and you go, hey, there are monsters here, and you get scared all over again. So our thinking, what we think, our attitude really does affect our health and our well-being. So it is of great benefit to us to seek to have the best attitude. And unfortunately, a lot of the self-help gurus make it sound like attitude is just being pumped up like rah rah. I'm a champion. I'm a gladiator. I can do anything. But really, it's more than that. Attitude can mean any number of things. You can have a peaceful and relaxed and calm and confident attitude. You can have an attitude of curiosity or an attitude of compassion or well-being or generosity. So think this, primarily, and that is when children play and they're out, as young children before they get too conditioned by the society around them, they just play with abandon. They skip, they sing, they hum, they twirl, they do somersaults, they chase butterflies. They can sit, looking at something for fascination, for hours. They can watch the same enjoyable movie over and over and over again with, sheer and utter delight. You tell them you want a cookie, and their whole body vibrates with, wow, cookie. That's living, and that's squirting the good chemicals. When you can have a really positive attitude and a hopeful attitude and optimistic attitude. There are these people who say, "Oh, positive thinking doesn't work." No, it absolutely does work, and this was the very basis of the power. They don't want you to positive think because if you can self heal and live without medications, and I'm not telling anyone not to take their medications, because if you're going to have to take medications, you're better off believing that the medication will help you and provide benefit than you are to combat it or fight it. So I'm not giving any medical advice here. I'm just trying to suggest that you know how you perceive and what you expect determines what you find and how you live. So if you live with joy and you live with love and you live with peace and you live celebrating everything and everything is a celebration, then you tend to be far healthier. You tend to have more happiness and more joy. And when you're doing that and releasing those chemicals, your body is correcting and self-correcting and healing as best it can. You're enabling the process, but you can interfere with the process as well. So this is why I tell people activate your attitude, use gratitude, spend time appreciating, because appreciation appreciates, and the more that you feel alive and well being and live with fun and passion and delight, the more you find those moments of yours becoming magical and miraculous and memorable, and magnificent, and so it's a really wonderful trade-off. It's the people who whine and complain and nag and blame and excuse and all that stuff that seem to be miserly with their good feelings, but really generous with their negativity, that have the most problems. And those who are really, really generous with their positivity seem to have fewer problems. And it doesn't mean that life, the world stops, but they just navigate all of it that much better. So one of the things that's really interesting, and here's something that you ought to know. So sometimes people are in close calls. And I'm going to wrap it up with this. They're in a close call where something happens and they essentially have a panic attack or anxiety. They're in an auto accident or something like that. They begin to hyperventilate or they begin to panic. What a good EMT will do, if they don't have a paper bag, for somebody to breathe into, and you breathe into to begin to regulate your breathing, so that you get the right ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide. But the point is that if somebody's starting to go into, an episode of anxiety, the good EMT will have them walk, and they'll walk with them, usually to guide them so they don't stumble into traffic or something, but they will have them walk and to walk it off, because standing is a lot harder than moving. And there's, if somebody say, I just have to sit down. Well, what happens is if they're just sitting down, and it's okay to sit down to catch your breath, but the idea is to move, to walk it off. And you hear this, you walk it off, because you activate the body as opposed to trying to compress things. So when you try and compress or bottle things, you have a whole lot more difficulty with those. So allowing emotions to move, even if they're not that glorious to begin with, if you allow them to move so that you release them, and then shift and focus on the more enjoyable ones, you're doing far, far better service to yourself than if you try to suppress something and push it down and fight it. So with that, I'm Rex. I'm complete. I hope everybody has a fabulous and wonderful rest of the evening. And oh, I see Murad is here and Fred is here. Wow, look at who you got. You got some really cool people there on top of the other people that you have. So this is it. Oh, and I see Darlene is here, and let's see, Nisa's here. A lot of cool people. Cedric, wow, you got a really nice room going here, Noah. Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much, Rex. And, I just love your wisdom. And when you come here and share, it's so awesome. Would you like to put up your link maybe for the Attitude Activator, or maybe speak about it a little bit? Because I think it's something that could really help people with their attitude.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
I created something called the Attitude Activator for this very reason, because attitude is not only the number one predictor for success and health and healing, but it's the number one predictor for success and healing in all areas of your life. And so, you want me to try and pin a link for you? Is that what you want?
Yes, go ahead. Pin it up
Okay,
there. Tell us about it.
I'll see if I can do that
Because,
talking, and if not, I'll get it when afterwards. But
okay,
but that's very generous of you. Thank
of
you.
course.
The So I created an audio program that you listen to with headphones. You take some time, you sit back, you relax, you close your eyes. You don't listen to it while you drive, but you listen to it. And what it does is it helps you go from a stuck condition into a unstuck condition, or it helps you go from less than glorious to glorious. And it's designed to do that and to take you and to develop your attitude and your ability to think better, feel better, and to behave better regardless of what you want to do. I spent over a year scripting it. I mean, I literally sat down day after day scripting it and putting it together, because I wanted to create one audio program that a person could use for multiple different things. So, for example, people, when I get the link up, if you go and look at it, you see people use it for, like, they want it to lose weight or to gain weight, to get up in the morning and feel refreshed, or go to bed and feel relaxed. They use it for peace and comfort and confidence, and they use it for happiness, delight, and comfort or peace. I mean, it literally is a template, and then you can decide how you want to use it, and then you can change how you want to use it. So it's what you do when you listen to it is you actually discover that you're learning the process by listening, so that the audio program actually does away with itself. But I've had people who continue to listen to it daily for as long as the tape, it was not a tape, but as long as the audio program has been available, and people replace it from time to time or give it to other people. It's a very powerful, positive program, and it's designed for you to take a break and to just focus on yourself and to direct your mind in positive ways. It's a little bit, it may seem a little bit weird at first, because there's two voices speaking. Well, there's actually multiple voices, and it's directing you and telling you to do things, but it's not for you to try and figure it out or listen or follow along like you would in a classroom. It's for you to relax and let go, and to listen, and to just follow the process, because it trains you in the process, uh, as you listen to it. But it also allows you to relax. So some people use it, before they go to bed, and like I said, some people use it when they get up. I'm trying to find the link for you so that I can share it with you. And it's a little bit harder to do while I'm speaking, but I'll get it.
That's okay. We can if you wanted to go over to another speaker, and then we could come back to you.
Yeah,
Would
here
that
I found it. So I'm pretty much done. But you can go to my website, which is rexsikes.com. I'll get the specific link up there. But you go to rexsikes.com. It's my name, rexsikes.com, and you can find it there. It's the Attitude Activator, and the book is there, and other programs. So I really thank you for allowing me to share that with people, because I'm very proud of it. It's been very powerful. It's gone all around the world. Hundreds and thousands of people have used it, and to transform themselves, and people keep discovering it, and using it now. So if you want to, you can go and get it, and it's something that can absolutely revolutionize your life. So I think I just got, there it is. I got it for you.
good job. Awesome. And also your book, Life on Your Terms. It's also, I mean, just all your teachings are just absolutely incredible. And like I said, Rex has a room every day at 11 o'clock. If you guys just need a little boost to help your day, to move you forward, to connect to positive vibration, positive energy, he always brings it. I mean, listening to you, Rex, seriously is life changing. And all the work that you're doing is so incredible. The passion you bring to the world. I'm just so grateful that you're here tonight. Thank you so much for sharing it. We'll keep your link up. I highly recommend. I'm actually going to buy it tonight as well. I haven't had a chance to get it yet, but I will get it. And I'm excited that you put the link up. Thank you so much for being here and sharing yourself, Rex, and doing all that great work that you're bringing to the world, to all of us, because we need each other. We need each other to learn from each other. And people that have done this incredible work and they can share these incredible tools with us to live more healthy life emotionally. It's the key to everything. It's the key to everything. No matter what we're going through, we can stay in a positive mindset that will change our lives. So thank you so much for being here and for who you are, Rex. I'm totally grateful for you.
I'm just thrilled and thank you, and I'm honored. And yeah, you'll love it. You truly love the Attitude Activator, as so many people do. And but thank you for that. And everybody just have a fabulous night. And I'm going to listen for a little while, but I do have to leave. And so if I disappear, it's not without some remorse, because I'd love to stay for the entire time.
Of
Have a
course.
great one.
And I want to just, if anybody wants to ask Rex something, as long as he's here. So I want to
Sure.
just open the mic, just popcorn style. Just go ahead and unmic and go ahead and add to the conversation.
Okay, sure. That's great. Let's do it.
Suzanne, over to you, beautiful.
I just wanted to say something that I forgot to say that I feel is part of Rex. It's a little saying that I cherish. If I have gratitude, then I don't have an attitude. If I have an attitude, then I don't have gratitude. I try to keep it simple. If I have gratitude, then I don't have an attitude. But if I have an attitude, then I don't have gratitude. Love and gratitude are the highest vibrations. We live in a vibrational universe, and love and gratitude are the highest prayers. I am complete.
Well, what I love about that, Suzanne, is that it demonstrates that you can have a good or not so good attitude, first off, and that a really positive attitude is one of gratitude. So that's very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rex, for clarifying. The Attitude Activator has those different sounds, because I started listening to it and I was like, what's going on? So I'm glad you clarified it today. So I'm going to deep dive into it again. Thank you.
Well, just to address it, and for people that don't know, it uses something called universal sounds. You know, people are familiar with binaural beats and isochronic tones and things like that. But universal sounds or tones are those sounds and tones that are sounds that we're familiar with, that open us up. For example, or ones that close us down. If I say you want to go to dinner, you know, just the sound that I made after, like, you want to go to dinner, doesn't open your neurology up. But if I went, oh, hey, would you like to go to dinner? The way I say it, or the sound that precedes it, the ooh, can open you up. So there are things like a stop sign, for example. It doesn't take you a whole lot of, somebody with their hand out, for example, like stop. You know what that means intuitively. You just know it. So somebody, if you're walking down the street and somebody puts their hand out in a stop gesture, it's like stop. Well, the same thing is true with certain sounds. So, for example, the sound of a big, say, safe door slamming shut, like that boom of the safe door slamming shut, you would have a sense that something is locked in, as opposed to a creaky little door like a flimsy porch door slamming shut in the wind. So, sound has an important uh, uh, programming value to us, in that we're, as long as we can hear, we or sense vibrations, we're sensitive to it. So the Attitude Activator uses universal sounds and tones. It uses sounds like applause or laughter, things like that. It uses these other kinds of vocal tones that you might make, along with one of my most powerful creations, which is called directed questions. And I've been using directed questions. I talk about it in my book, Life on Your Terms, how I came about, went through a crisis and revolutionized my life. And oddly enough, in the last 2 days, I just discovered somebody else who has kind of reinvented my work in another book. This is the fifth, sixth, or seventh book I found where they've taken and renamed what I did and are presenting it, but they just honestly they miss the heart of it. So they'll say things like, ask why questions like why am I happy, or why am I lucky, or why am I successful, or why am I ideal weight, which is a great question to ask. And it kind of started back in 1980 when I listed a few questions, and one of them was this why question, and everybody's kind of caught on to that one. And by the way, I didn't invent questions, you know that, right? But what I did was I one of the first people to say, look, questions set a direction for you. And if you know how to ask questions, they can be truly, truly powerful. So if I ask you, for example, where'd you get the shirt? You know where you got it. Your brain knows. That's an informational based question. Or you might say, I don't remember. Or you could say it was a gift. Or if I said, what's the capital of Arizona? You might go bang and tell me. That's not the kind of question you want to ask. And why questions, while they're good in some cases, a therapist was, why do you feel that way? Why does that bother you? So it kind of uncovers stuff. But a lot of people ask why questions all the time, like why am I such a screw up? Why am I such a loser? Why does nothing ever work out for me? And so asking a why question like why am I successful or why am I happy is a very useful approach, but it's not the most powerful. In fact, it's not that it's great, but it's not that great of an approach. But it's a significant difference from a lot of people. And I'll wrap it up with this. If it's really easy for you to say, why am I such a schmuck? But it's not easy for you to say, why am I such a success? All that really indicates is that you've learned to do one competently. Your subconscious habit is to ask one versus the other. So if self-blaming, or you have a negative self-talk, or you criticize yourself, or you feel bad, that kind of thing, it's just because you do it more often than the other. So if you were start to juggle, it would seem awkward. It would seem difficult. You would have a learning curve that you'd have to go through. So the same thing is true about asking positive questions like why am I, so beautiful, or why am I so wonderful? If it's tough at first, it just means you don't do it a lot. So the same thing with the Attitude Activator. If it seems unfamiliar at first, it's because you're not used to it yet, but it'll become familiar and it'll become useful. And you'll learn to ask yourself a whole lot of other questions that are far more useful than just the why question. And I back in the late '90s, Gussie Renker, who did the Tony Robbins infomercials, came to me and asked me to do an infomercial, and I refused them. And my company wanted me to do it on directed questions, and I didn't want to do it. It's in my work. It's in the Ultimate NLP Home Study Program. It's in the Mind Design Program. It's in everything. I figured that was enough. I didn't need to do anything special. But I'm probably gonna. I've been for now over the past few years been putting articles together from the '80s and '90s and earlier and later. So I'll probably be releasing a book on it within the next year or so. But it's truly powerful. And I don't mean to go on and to monopolize the conversation here, but there's so much wonderful abilities that we have people have, and most people just never tap into them because they don't know how to direct their minds in a powerful way. And you don't have to use massive effort to do it. It can be really simple and easy and fun and delightful. And that's my message. People are Most people are selling you the wrong bill of goods. They sell you programs that are really 10x your stuff, take massive action, and they don't work because they know if it doesn't work, you'll come back for more, because it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer or coming back to you than it is to get a new customer. So a lot of people's programs aren't designed for people to be successful, because if they're successful, they'll leave. But that's not really true either. That's a limiting mindset, because if they're really successful, they'll also stick around. That's what family and community is all about. So with that, I'm Rex. I'm complete.
Thank you, Rex, so much for sharing your wisdom. I have a question for you. I was thinking today is that it's the attitude is the most important thing, but also being able to release your emotions. Like if you don't come from emotion, if you learn to control your own emotions, how much better will your life be? Because I feel like I get very emotional, like with my daughter. If she's not on school on time, she's not doing what she's supposed to, So I get angry sometimes. I get emotional with her, and then I'm not coming from the place that I want to come from. And can you speak about that as far as health and how, because I think we'd be so much healthier if we learn how to control our own emotions even more. And that's what I'm committed to within myself, to learn how to be less emotional and, more factual, not always come from a place of, oh my God, this is terrible what you're doing.
Well, it's a really, wonderful question, and one that's probably on the minds of lots and lots of people who just maybe never ask it, or they try, different approaches. It's not so much about controlling, as it is about releasing and understanding. It's kind of like it's more difficult to dam a stream up than it is to divert the stream. So if you're trying to prevent water from flooding, if you can divert it somewhere else where it can run off, that's takes a whole lot less energy than trying to build a dam. Because once you build a dam, all that water is pressing up against the dam, so you have to make sure that it's reinforced. Well, that's kind of a metaphor for what people do when they try and stuff their emotions, or they refuse their emotions or repress their emotions. They have the brain releases chemicals and creates more stress and affects the cells and creates disease. It creates discomfort. It creates illness. So the best thing that you can do really is develop an attitude. This is why the attitude activator is so important, is to develop an attitude of playfulness, of celebration, of gratitude, of love, of peace, of freedom, of understanding. When you have I some of my tagline, obviously, in my daily blog and on my show and everything else, is celebrate everything. And I tell people, I go, if you consider everything a problem, then everything will be a problem. But if you consider everything a blessing, then everything will be a blessing. So I always approach things from this way, and this is part of my attitude, and that is, I'm glad that I'm alive. I'm thrilled that I've been alive. I've had plenty of opportunities to not be alive, and I've managed to survive all of them. And I don't say I'm a survivor, I'm a thriver. I'm blessed, and being alive is the best gift for me that I can think of. So if I have problems, I get to have problems. I get to have difficulties. I get to engage with people that sometimes go against my grain, or that don't seem to work, the way I would want things to go. And those are all gifts, because the alternative is I wouldn't be around to experience any of it. It's a gift to have a situation come up that's challenging or difficult, even if it's my child or my ex-spouse, or a friend, or a business issue, or the world at large. They're there. We say things happen for us, not to us. I say people happen for us too. That the skirmishes that come up between people are there so that we can let things go. I liken it to the alert or the dashboard signals on your car. Your oil indicator, your gas light, or your tire pressure, or whatever is on your dashboard is there so that you know if there's an issue. So when things happen between people, or if there's an event or a circumstance that is troublesome, that's a message that could, hey, there's an opportunity here to let go and release things, to release control. You do not have to, and here's one of the big myths of psychotherapy and psychiatry and everything: the idea that you have to go through and dig through your personal history for all the crap and all the wounds and all the hurts and all the abuses so that you can forgive and let go and release is pretty much bullshit. Is it useful? Sure, it could be, but you could never get through all of it. So the point is you can spend your time, trying to figure out what's really important. What must I let go so that I'm natural? But understand that life itself gives you that opportunity to let go of things every single moment of every single day. Anytime that you get agitated or upset or lonely or bored or scared or fearful or whatever, it's an opportunity for you to release. All of the old wounds and all of the old hurts and all of the old stuff comes up constantly. But it comes up with different people in different circumstances and different situations, because until we learn the lesson, it seems like we get to repeat it over and over again. So the dash light, the alert on the dashboard keeps going off, and we keep ignoring it, and keeps going off, and we keep ignoring it. Well, when you realize that it's okay that it's going off, if you understand that it's a gift, then you have the opportunity to do something about it. It doesn't mean that you need to have more therapy, although things work. You can dig through your past. I mean, it's not gonna necessarily hurt you. The question is, what do you want to focus on? So I make it very clear. I go, you want to focus on dog shit, or you want to focus on diamonds, and realize you have a choice every moment. Which you choose to focus on, because what you focus on, you get more back of, or you get more in return. So if I'm in a situation with my child, and my child is doing something that I don't want, and I'm getting agitated, if I can stop, which is again with the attitude activator, is stop, take a deep breath, and shift, be different. It helps you with those triggers. Is that what it allows me to do, is to become aware that I need to change, not them. That I need to change my attitude, my actions, my feeling, my thoughts, my behaviors, or something. I can't control them as much as, I mean, yes, we're parents. We could send them to their room if they're smaller children, or try and enforce curfews, or withhold things from them if they're adult children. But the point is that we really can't control other people. We can only take responsibility for ourselves. And so, to the extent that we are willing to go, you know what, this is my issue, not theirs. And thank God they're doing this nasty, behavior. I don't deserve this kind of treatment to me, because it's allowing me to go, I have an opportunity to let go of this stuff. Otherwise, it would just come up at another point or another time. So why not just release it now? And what does that mean? It means cut them some slack. Think of it this way: whether you believe the story or not, and personally, I have no investment in what you think otherwise. But Jesus on the cross, after having been beaten and bloodied and suffered and all this kind of crap on the cross, having nails pounded into his wrists and his feet, hanging there suffocating, with each breath he breathes, it's painful. Says, "Forgive them; they don't know what they're doing." So if he in that agony could say, and again, whether it's true or not, who knows, and I don't care, but it's a good analogy, and it's one that we could all learn from. If he can forgive when people have treated him like that, I should be able to forgive my daughter or my son if they're being annoying, or my spouse or my significant other, or my partner or life partner, or whoever it might be, or an employee or customer or client or a stranger in the coffee shop. I should be able to let go of what you know I count as wounds, and be able to forgive and release it. And that's not to let them off the hook. It truly lets me off the hook, because if I release it, then it's not an issue. And I think the message of Jesus is couplefold. He said, "Forgive them," and then he goes, into your hands I commend my spirit," which means it's like, "Thy will be done," which he said in the Garden of Gethsemane, like, "Thy will be done, not my will." And I commit myself into a higher power. I give myself over, and then says, "It's finished. It's done. My work here is done." And so it's the same kind of thing that we can do when things come our way. And thank God we're not being crucified, although it may feel like it sometimes. It's like, thank goodness that this is an opportunity for me to release this, so I don't have to do it again. And it'll come up until you let it go. And so you don't again, I'm just going to repeat, you don't have to go looking for it, because it's going to come up. Your job, as far as I think the universe and you and I should be concerned, is to live with as much joy and fun and freedom and delight and love and compassion and generosity, and curiosity and all the good things. And then as things come up that are less than glorious, release, let go, forgive, and move on, and go back into the good stuff. So it's like the attitude activator. When you get it, you'll recognize it's just like, stop, take a deep breath, and then be different, and then shift, divert, go into different directions, so you're not traveling down that same path that causes pain. And so I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And it's amazing, right? Because we need reminders. As much as I do the work, I have my own, I get in my own way sometimes, and I get into that place where I do feel resentful at times. And the only one I'm hurting when I do that is myself. And I do realize that it's so important. Like, the only person we can ever change is ourselves. The only attitude we can ever change is ourselves. And that's why I love your room so much, Rex, because you always remind us. And we need reminders, right? We could never have too many reminders, because we are human, and humans always will get in our own way. And so to have positive people around us, to remind us to stay in our power and the things that we could do just to release, to let go, to forgive. That those are powerful, powerful tools that we all have within us. And at the end of the day, all there is love, like Susan always says. So thank you, Rex. That was an amazing, amazing answer. And I'm so grateful for everything that you shared. And one last thing really quickly, I know it's a little bit off the subject, but how would you deal with a loss of somebody, like somebody who's dealing with a loss? Because I think when you lose someone that you love or someone that you're close to, how do you deal with that as far as getting yourself back into a positive attitude? Or does that just take time and healing?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to think about it, and loss can be a physical loss, somebody passes, or it could be a breakup, or something else. But and it's a wonderful question, and I would answer it this way, in that I was going to, if I had to follow up on what you had just said about, sometimes we experience these things, and we can learn to release and let go. I would have said this, and so I am going to say it. um, there's a saying that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and I I don't have any disagreement with that. I think that's a beautiful way to describe it. But as a human, we should be fully human, and appreciate that we're fully human, as well as a spirit. But being human means that we have the opportunity to do all things. We have a left hand and a right hand. We, for the most part, not all of us do, but you know what I'm getting at. We have feet and a head kind of thing. We have a front and back. There's many different aspects to us, and it's all part of being human. You know, and so some days we're happy, and some days we're not so happy, and some days we're angry, and other things get mad. It it's crazy in some ways to try not to be human, because we're human. So to be able to accept and to acknowledge that, hey, sometimes I'm not always smiley, and that's okay. It doesn't mean to excuse it, and it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. One of the things that I ascribe to is just make it a little bit better. So if you're feeling really badly, you may not feel ecstatic, but maybe you can move in a direction to feel just a bit better, to so that you're not just you know staying stuck, but that you're moving in the direction of feeling better. But that can take time. So with loss, um, there are people who are so close to us, and we miss them, and we can miss them desperately, because they mean so much to us. We love them, we celebrated them, we're close to them. And again, a breakup can be similar to a death, but the point is that if somebody goes and they're not going to come back, and you don't ever have the opportunity to see them or communicate with them again, um, grieving is a normal process. It's part of what humans do. Fear is a normal human response. Fear, this, I mean, think about that. It was designed for our protection, in during our evolution, so that if we were in the woods and something attacked us, we would run. We'd be scared. We wouldn't be stupid or gullible and just stand there and go, well, gee, what? I mean, fear has a real use. So does pain. Pain has an incredible use, that we feel pain in our nervous system, so that we don't further damage whatever it is that's feeling painful, so that we can get, proper attention for it. You have nerve endings in your hand, so that if you stuck your hand on a burner, you wouldn't burn your hand off. You would notice it and go, "Oh, you take it off." Now you have to deal with the burn, but at least it would be minor by comparison to what it would be if you didn't have something that would sense it. So to feel lost, to feel upset when someone passes, is a human expression of a connection that you have with somebody, and it's deeply personal and deeply significant. So I would never ever suggest that someone not allow themselves to go through the grieving process. Part of it can be mitigated by attempting to feel a little bit better. In other words, if you're only focused on the loss but not on the celebration of the time you spent together, or the celebration of the person's life, then you will live differently than if you spend your time celebrating. I had a friend who died a few years ago, and I still miss her. We did a lot of stuff together. I valued her, and I loved her. Not we weren't lovers, but I mean, I loved her as a friend. And when she left, I still notice it. Or I'll be in a place and I go, oh, this is where she and I used to do these things. It's normal. I don't get it doesn't affect me the way it did. Both my parents have died, and I'm used to the fact that they're both passed. But I remember the moment that my mom died after my dad had died by 10 years. I was like, I'm an orphan. I'm orphaned. I mean, I'm an adult orphan, but I'm orphaned. I have no parents. You know, so it was a kind of an interesting experience. I never expected to hear myself utter those words, but it was like I'm an orphan. Um, so what I'm trying to say is, in a very long about way, is that all responses are normal responses until they become, pathological. Sadness is great until it's sad for too long. Or anger is fine. It's okay to be angry unless it becomes rage or it lasts for too long. If you're constantly angry, you're constantly stressed. Same thing if you're constantly depressed, you're constantly stressed. It's not healthy for you. Things ebb and flow. The tides go in, the tides go out. So it's part of human nature to have fluctuations, and it's just learning how to live graciously and gracefully and happily, and with celebration for everything. But sometimes it's cold, and sometimes it's dark, and sometimes it's wet. It's not always warm. Warm, dry, and party kind of thing. So understand that there are rhythms to everything, and be natural, be human, and then in doing so, you allow that spirit to flourish even more. And with that, I'm Rex. I hope that answers.
Thank you, Rex. That was amazing. I just purchased your Attitude Activator and I can't wait to listen to it. Really excited. It's coming at the perfect time. I needed a little bit of an attitude adjustment, and having you here was great. So I'm just so grateful that you came in at the perfect time when I needed my Attitude Activator. And I'm grateful for all of you for being here. And thank you for all that wisdom, all that learning that you have that you could share with us, because we all need it at different times, and today I needed it. So thank you so
Well,
much.
the cool part about what you just did and what you just said is I needed it, and that's what people need to be able to do. And that's a great example that you gave to others, is to say, hey, I had a need, and so I reached out, because some people have needs and they don't reach out, or they don't help, people allow people to help them. So that's awesome. And as far as the Attitude Activator goes, fantastic. Congratulations. I know you'll love it. Follow the directions, and if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. So, all the best to you, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, Rex. So grateful.